I woke up that morning expecting the usual. Sunlight filtering through the curtains, the distant hum of traffic, maybe the smell of coffee from downstairs. Instead, my hand brushed against my pillow, and I felt something that made my heart stop. Hair. So much hair. I sat up slowly, my fingers trembling as they moved to my scalp. Patches. Smooth, bare patches where my thick, dark hair used to be. The hair I'd grown for 47 years. The hair my late husband used to braid on Sunday mornings. The hair that made me feel like myself. Gone. And from the hallway, I heard laughter. Let me take you back a few months, before that terrible morning, so you understand how we got here. My name is Margaret, and I've been living a quiet life in my modest 2-story home in the suburbs. After my husband David passed away 3 years ago from a heart attack, I thought I'd never feel whole again. But I built a routine. I volunteered at the community library twice a week, tended to my small vegetable garden, and learned to be comfortable with silence. The house felt enormous without David. Every room held memories. The kitchen, where he'd dance with me while we cooked Sunday dinners. The living room, where we'd watched old movies on rainy afternoons. The bedroom, where he'd read aloud to me before sleep. Some nights, I'd wake up and reach for him, forgetting for one cruel moment that he was gone. My son Michael had always been my pride and joy. Smart, hardworking, respectful. He worked as a software engineer at a decent company downtown, putting in long hours, but always finding time to call me every evening. After David died, those phone calls became my anchor, a reminder that I still mattered to someone. When he told me he was getting married 2 years ago, I cried tears of happiness. I'd worried he'd remain alone, too focused on his career, too busy taking care of me to build his own life. Her name was Jessica. She was beautiful, educated, from a wealthy family in the city. I'll admit, when Michael first brought her home, I felt intimidated. She wore designer clothes, spoke with confidence, and had this way of looking at our simple home like she was mentally redecorating it. She walked through each room with Michael, her heels clicking on the wooden floors David had installed himself. "It's very cozy," she said, which I knew meant small. "And these curtains are charming, very vintage." Vintage meant outdated, but I told myself I was being unfair. She was young, 26 to Michael's 29, and perhaps she just needed time to adjust to our middle-class lifestyle. Not everyone grew up in homes where you reused tea bags and patched torn clothes instead of buying new ones. The wedding was grand, far grander than anything David and I could have afforded. Jessica's parents paid for most of it, which was both a relief and a source of quiet shame for me. The venue was a 5-star hotel. The guest list exceeded 300 people, and the decorations alone probably cost more than my entire wedding 40 years ago. I contributed what I could from David's life insurance money, wanting to feel like I'd done my part as the groom's mother. I bought Michael's wedding outfit, paid for the flowers for the ceremony, and hosted a small pre-wedding dinner at our home for close family. Jessica's mother, Patricia, surveyed the dinner setup with barely concealed disdain. "How homey," she remarked, the word dripping with condescension. "Jessica, dear, make sure you register for proper dinnerware. You'll need it." The implication was clear. What I had wasn't good enough for her daughter. After the wedding, they moved into the spare bedroom of my house. It was supposed to be temporary, just until they saved enough for their own place. That was 2 years ago. At first, things seemed fine. Jessica would help with small chores, though I noticed she grimaced when washing dishes or sweeping. She'd hold the broom like it might contaminate her, sweeping in ineffective little strokes that barely moved the dirt. "Did you never think about getting a vacuum cleaner, Margaret?" she asked once, watching me sweep the kitchen floor. "This broom works perfectly well," I replied, smiling. "If you say so." Michael worked long hours, often coming home exhausted around 9 or 10 at night. He'd collapse on the couch, loosen his tie, and barely have energy to eat the dinner I'd kept warm for him. I cooked, cleaned, and tried to make the house feel welcoming for both of them. I took pride in my cooking. David had always said my food was better than any restaurant, and I wanted Michael and Jessica to feel that same warmth. Every evening I prepared fresh meals, vegetables from my garden, casseroles made the way my mother taught me. But gradually, little things began to shift. Jessica started making comments. "Margaret, don't you think this sofa is a bit outdated? My friend Amanda just got the most gorgeous sectional from Italy. Real leather, you know. It would look amazing in here." "This sofa was your father-in-law's favorite," I'd say gently. "He used to read the newspaper here every morning." "Oh, well, maybe we could just get a slipcover or something." Or, "You still use this old pressure cooker? There are electric ones now, you know, much safer. I read about a pressure cooker that exploded and hurt someone. You should really upgrade." "I've been using this for 30 years. I know exactly how it works." "Suit yourself, but when it explodes, don't say I didn't warn you." I'd smile and nod, telling myself she meant well. She was from a different generation, used to different things. Her mother had household help for everything, cooking, cleaning, even serving meals. Jessica had probably never hand-washed a dish in her life before moving here. But then the comments turned to me directly. "Margaret, have you thought about dyeing your hair? Those gray streaks make you look so much older. There are great salons in the city. I could take you sometime." "I've earned every one of these gray hairs," I'd reply, keeping my tone light. "They're markers of a life lived." "If you say so, but you'd look at least 10 years younger without them." "Maybe you should update your wardrobe? Those floral dresses are very traditional. My mom wears these gorgeous designer pieces. I could ask where she shops." "I'm comfortable in what I wear." "Comfortable doesn't mean stylish, Margaret." I'd laugh it off, but each comment felt like a small paper cut, individually harmless, but cumulatively painful. Each one reminded me that I wasn't enough, wasn't modern enough, wasn't good enough for the life she'd envisioned with Michael. My hair, though, that was always my comfort. Thick, dark, with distinguished silver streaks at the temples, falling to the middle of my back. I washed it every Saturday with special shampoo and conditioner, just like my mother taught me. I'd take my time, massaging my scalp with slow, circular motions, then comb it through the length of my hair with my grandmother's wooden comb. David used to say it reminded him of a starry night, dark and silver-streaked like shooting stars. He'd help me dry it sometimes, carefully patting it with a towel while I sat on the edge of the bathtub. Those were some of our most intimate moments, quiet and domestic, and filled with unspoken love. I'd catch Jessica staring at it sometimes with an expression I couldn't quite read. Envy? Resentment? I wasn't sure. Her own hair was nice, shoulder length, highlighted, professionally styled, but she complained about it constantly. "My hair is so flat and lifeless," she'd grumble, examining herself in the mirror. "I spend a fortune on products and treatments, and it still looks blah." "Your hair is lovely," I'd say truthfully. "Not like yours, though. You don't even try, and it's still so thick. It's not fair." I should have recognized the resentment in her voice, should have understood that to her, my contentment with simple things felt like a judgment of her expensive, complicated life. 3 months before that horrible morning, I overheard a conversation that should have warned me. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the kitchen preparing lunch, chicken casserole and fresh bread, when Jessica's voice drifted from the living room. She was on the phone with someone, probably one of her friends. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but the kitchen door was open and her voice carried. "I'm telling you, Ashley, living here is suffocating. The house is stuck in the 1990s, and she treats it like a museum. You can't move a single photo frame without her asking where it went. And don't even get me started on her precious hair." I stood frozen, a knife hovering over half-cut vegetables. "She's so proud of it, brushing it every night like she's some kind of queen. Oh, I wash it every week. Oh, my grandmother's recipe. Oh, David loved my hair." Like, okay, we get it. You have good hair. Move on. My hand trembled slightly. I set down the knife. "And Michael, God, Michael won't listen to me about getting our own place. He's too attached to Mommy. Every time I bring it up, he says we're saving money. We need to be patient. His mom needs us. His mom doesn't need us. His mom needs to get a life. I gripped the edge of the counter, feeling dizzy. Sometimes I wish something would just shake things up, you know? Make her realize she's not the center of everything anymore. Make her feel small for once, the way she makes me feel with her judgy silence. Judgy silence. Is that how she interpreted my attempts to be respectful? To give her space? Anyway, I'll figure something out. There's always a way to get what you want. You just have to be creative. I didn't confront her. I should have, but I didn't. I told myself I'd misunderstood, that she was just venting frustration the way young people do. Everyone complains about their in-laws sometimes, don't they? It didn't mean anything serious. That was my first mistake. I finished making lunch, called them to the table, and acted like everything was normal. Jessica chatted about a sale at her favorite boutique, Michael talked about a project at work, and I smiled and nodded and pretended my heart wasn't aching. That night, I brushed my hair in front of the bedroom mirror, 100 strokes, just like always. In the reflection, I saw a 57-year-old woman who was trying very hard to convince herself that she still belonged in her own home. The day before it happened was my birthday, my 57th birthday. I wasn't expecting much, maybe a small cake, some warm wishes. Birthdays had been quiet affairs since David died. He used to make them special, waking me with tea and singing, off-key but earnest, presenting me with small gifts he'd hidden around the house like a treasure hunt. This year, I hoped Michael might remember. He'd remembered every year since he was 5 years old, sometimes with handmade cards decorated with crayon flowers, later with thoughtful gifts like books I'd mentioned wanting, or a new gardening tool. I woke up early that day and went about my usual routine: morning coffee, watering the garden, preparing breakfast. Neither Michael nor Jessica mentioned anything. I told myself they were probably planning a surprise for the evening. At breakfast, I dropped a small hint. The garden roses are blooming so beautifully this November. David always said November flowers were special because they came despite the cold. "That's nice, Mom," he said absently, scrolling through his phone. "We should cut some for the living room," she added without looking up from her coffee. No recognition. No happy birthday. Nothing. The day passed slowly. I made lunch, cleaned the house, folded laundry. Every time I heard footsteps, I looked up expectantly, thinking maybe now, maybe they'd remember. By evening, I'd given up hoping. Michael came home late from work, looking exhausted. His tie was loose, his shirt wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes. "Sorry, Mom. Big project deadline. We'll celebrate this weekend, okay?" Celebrate what? He hadn't even remembered what day it was. "Of course, sweetheart. Don't worry." I smiled and nodded, swallowing the disappointment that tasted like ash. Jessica was lounging on the couch, scrolling through her phone, double-tapping photos and occasionally laughing at something on her screen. She glanced up briefly when Michael mentioned celebrating. "Oh, right. Happy birthday, Margaret." And she went back to her phone. No card, no cake, no hug, just those 3 words, delivered like an afterthought, like someone saying, "Excuse me," when they accidentally bump into you on the street. I went to bed early that night, feeling foolish for expecting more. In our bedroom, the room that would always be our bedroom, even though David was gone, I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at his photograph on the nightstand. "I miss you," I told the photograph. "I miss you so much." I brushed my hair before bed, 100 strokes like always. In the mirror, I saw those silver streaks catching the lamplight. For a moment, I felt beautiful, despite everything, despite being forgotten on my own birthday, despite living like a guest in my own home, despite the quiet loneliness that had become my constant companion. I didn't know it would be the last time I'd see my hair whole. I didn't know that in a few hours, everything would change. That night, I slept deeply, too deeply. Later, I'd realize why. Around 8:30, after I'd retreated to my room, Jessica knocked on my door. "Margaret, I made you some tea, special chamomile blend. You've been looking tired lately, and I thought it might help you sleep." I was surprised. Jessica had never made me tea before. But I was lonely and grateful for even that small gesture, so I opened the door and accepted the cup. "It's a special recipe my yoga instructor recommended. Very calming. You should drink it while it's hot." I should have questioned why she was suddenly being nice, but I was vulnerable that night, forgotten and sad, and her attention felt like a kindness I desperately needed. The tea was bitter, but I assumed that's how chamomile was supposed to taste. I drank it all, thanking her for the thoughtfulness. "Sleep well, Margaret," she said, a strange smile on her face as she left. Within 20 minutes, I felt drowsy, unusually heavily drowsy. My limbs felt weighted, my thoughts sluggish. I barely managed to turn off the bedside lamp before sleep pulled me under like a dark wave. I never heard my door open again around midnight. Never felt hands applying something cold and chemical-smelling to my hair. Never heard the soft, cruel laughter as someone massaged the mixture into my scalp. I slept through my own violation. When I woke up that morning, my head felt heavy, my thoughts sluggish. My mouth was dry, my body felt wrong. For a moment, I couldn't remember where I was. Then my hand brushed the pillow and felt that horrible texture. Loose hair, so much of it. I sat up quickly, and more hair fell across my shoulders, detaching in clumps. Strands cascaded down like autumn leaves, dark and silver mixed together, collecting on my white bedsheet. My hands flew to my head. Patches, bare, smooth patches on my scalp. My beautiful hair, the hair I'd cared for my entire adult life, was falling out in my hands. No, 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 no. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror, my legs unsteady. The reflection that stared back at me was unrecognizable. Bald spots scattered across my scalp like islands, remaining hair hanging in sad, thinning strands. My scalp looked red in places, irritated, damaged. I looked sick, old, broken. I touched one of the bare patches gently. The skin felt tender, slightly burning. Chemical burn, some distant part of my mind recognized. Someone had put something caustic on my scalp. And then I heard it. Laughter from downstairs. High-pitched, unrestrained laughter. The sound of someone who'd done something hilarious and couldn't wait to share it. I wrapped a scarf around my head with shaking hands, trying 3 times before I got it to stay in place. Each movement felt mechanical, disconnected. I was moving through shock, my body functioning, while my mind struggled to process what had happened. I walked downstairs, each step feeling like a mile. The laughter grew louder. Jessica was in the kitchen with her phone, showing something to her friend Amanda, who'd stopped by for morning coffee. Both of them were laughing, Jessica wiping tears from her eyes. "What's so funny?" I asked, my voice barely steady. Jessica looked up, and her eyes went wide with mock surprise. "Oh, Margaret, you're awake. Oh my God, Amanda, look at her head." Amanda's laughter stopped abruptly, her face going pale. She glanced between Jessica and me, confusion and dawning horror in her expression. "Jessica, what did you—" "I used that hair removal cream. You know, the one I told you about? The super strong one for permanent removal? I mixed it into her special hair conditioner last night while she was sleeping. I just wanted to see if it would actually work, and oh my God, it worked! Look at her!" The room spun. The kitchen walls seemed to tilt and sway. You did this?" My voice came out as a whisper. "You put chemicals in my hair products?" "Oh, don't be so dramatic, Margaret. Hair grows back. It's not like I did anything permanent. Well, maybe a little permanent, but still. You'll be fine." "Jessica, this isn't funny. That cream can cause chemical burns. You could have really hurt her." "Oh, please, Amanda. It's just hair. She'll survive. Besides, you were way too proud of it anyway, Margaret. Constantly brushing it, washing it, like it made you special or something. Now you look your age for once." I should go. She stood up quickly, avoiding eye contact with me. I can't be part of this. She left, practically running out the door. I stood there, one hand clutching the scarf around my ruined scalp, unable to form words. This was the woman my son married. The woman I'd welcomed into my home, cooked for, tried to love like a daughter. And she'd done this to me. For entertainment. Because I was too proud of my hair. Because she wanted to make me small. I didn't confront her immediately. I know that sounds weak, maybe even pathetic, but shock has a way of paralyzing you. I went back upstairs, locked my bedroom door, and sat on the edge of my bed for hours, just staring at the wall. My hands kept moving to my head, touching the scarf, feeling the unfamiliar terrain beneath it. Each time I touched a bare patch, reality hit me again like a fresh wound. I cried, not sobbing, just silent tears that ran down my face and dripped onto my lap. I cried for my hair, yes, but also for what it represented. The last piece of myself that I'd kept intact after David died. The one thing that made me feel like Margaret and not just Mom or the widow or the old woman in the outdated house. When Michael came home that evening, I heard Jessica's voice drift up the stairs. "Baby, your mom's being weird. She's been hiding in her room all day. I think she's upset about something silly." "What happened?" "I don't know. You know how she gets sometimes. She's probably just having one of those days. You know how older women get emotional over nothing." Emotional over nothing. My hair had been destroyed, and she was framing it as me being irrational. Maybe it's hormonal or something. Should we ask her if she needs to see a doctor? She didn't tell him. She didn't confess what she'd done. She was going to let him think I was just being difficult for no reason. So I had to. I waited until dinner. The three of us sat at the table, me with my scarf still wrapped tightly around my head, barely touching my food. Each bite felt like swallowing stones. "Michael," I began, my voice steadier than I felt, "I need to talk to you about something." "Sure, Mom. What's up? You feeling okay? Jessica said you've been in your room all day." I slowly unwrapped the scarf. The action felt like undressing in public, exposing something shameful. "Mom, what happened to your hair?" He stood up so quickly his chair scraped loudly against the floor. "Are you sick? Is this cancer? Mom, why didn't you tell me?" "Your wife happened." Jessica's fork clattered against her plate. "Oh, come on, don't be so dramatic. Michael, she's fine. It's not cancer." "Jessica, what is she talking about?" I explained everything. The hair removal cream, the conditioner, finding clumps of hair on my pillow, the chemical burns on my scalp, the tea that made me sleep so heavily I never heard her come into my room. With each word, Michael's face grew darker. "You did what?" "It was just a prank, Michael. God, she's acting like I committed murder. Hair grows back." "That's not the point, Jessica. That's cruel. That's genuinely cruel. And you drugged her tea?" "I just put a sleeping pill in it. It's not like I poisoned her." "Oh, so now you're taking her side? Typical. You always take her side." "Michael," I interrupted gently, "I don't want to cause problems in your marriage, but what she did it was wrong, and it hurt me deeply." "Mom, I'm so sorry. Jessica, you need to apologize. Right now." "Fine. Sorry, Margaret. Happy now?" The word sorry had never sounded less sincere. Over the next few weeks, things deteriorated rapidly. Jessica stopped pretending to be civil. "Oh, look, the bald queen is awake," she'd say when I came downstairs for breakfast. Or, "Maybe you should invest in a good wig, Margaret. Those scarves make you look like you're in chemotherapy." Michael tried to intervene, but he was caught in the middle, exhausted from work and from being a referee in his own home. "Jessica, please stop. Just please." "Stop what? Telling the truth? Maybe if your mom wasn't so sensitive, we wouldn't have this problem." I started spending more time in my room, avoiding common areas. My hair was growing back slowly, but the patches were still visible. Embarrassing. I canceled my library volunteer shifts, too ashamed to be seen. The woman who used to greet neighbors cheerfully now ducked her head and hurried inside whenever someone approached. The woman who took pride in her garden now sent Michael out to water the plants so she wouldn't be visible from the street. One evening, I overheard another conversation. This time, Jessica wasn't on the phone. She was talking to Michael directly. I was in the hallway, about to come downstairs for water, when I heard my name. "We need to talk about your mother." "What about her?" "She needs to leave, Michael. This is our house now. We're married adults, and we can't keep living under her roof." "This is her house, Jessica. Dad left it to her." "So convince her to sell it, or at least sign it over to us. We could renovate, make it modern, actually livable. My dad knows a great contractor. We could knock down walls, put in an open-concept kitchen, redo the whole thing." "I'm not asking my mother to give up her home." "Then you're choosing her over me. Again. You always do this, Michael. Always. Every single time it's a choice between what I want and what she wants, you pick her." "That's not fair." "What's not fair is that I'm 28 years old and living like a guest in someone else's house. What's not fair is that I have to ask permission to change a lamp or paint a wall or do anything to make this place feel like mine. You never asked permission. You just did things. And Mom never complained until you started getting rid of Dad's stuff." "Your dad is dead, Michael. He's been dead for 3 years. At some point, she needs to move on." I heard a sharp intake of breath from Michael. "Get out." "What?" "Get out of this room, right now, before I say something I'll regret." "Oh, that's mature. Just throw me out instead of actually discussing." "Out." I heard footsteps, a door slamming. Silence. So that's what this was really about. Not just cruelty for its own sake, but strategy. Make me so uncomfortable, so humiliated that I'd leave on my own. The second incident happened 3 weeks after the hair disaster. I came downstairs one morning to find Jessica redecorating the living room. Furniture had been moved, my late husband's favorite armchair was gone, and strange modern art now hung where our family photos used to be. "Where are the photos?" I asked quietly. "Oh, I put them in the basement. They were so cluttered, Margaret. This looks much better, don't you think? I ordered these pieces from this amazing gallery downtown, much more sophisticated." "Those photos, our wedding picture, Michael's childhood moments, David's last birthday, relegated to the basement like junk. Please put them back." "No, this is my home too, and I'm tired of living in a shrine to the past. Time to move on, Margaret." "That armchair was David's. Where is it?" "I donated it. It was falling apart anyway. I got us a beautiful new accent chair. You'll love it." "You donated? You gave away David's chair?" My voice cracked. "It was old and ugly, Margaret. This is an upgrade. You should be thanking me." I could have fought her, but I was tired. So tired. I went to the basement and found the photos stacked in a cardboard box. Some of the frames cracked from being carelessly packed. I carried the box back to my room and arranged the photos on my dresser, where at least I could see them. The third incident was the worst. It was a Saturday afternoon, and some of Jessica's friends came over for lunch. I stayed in my room, not wanting to be seen or mocked. I'd learned to time my trips to the kitchen for when the house was empty, moving through my own home like a ghost. But I needed water, so I crept downstairs, hoping to slip into the kitchen unnoticed. I heard my name before I reached the bottom step. "Oh my God, you guys should have seen her face when she woke up bald. She looked like a plucked chicken." Multiple female voices joined in laughter. I swear, I thought she was going to cry. She just stood there touching her head like she couldn't believe it. It was the funniest thing I've ever done. And Amanda was like, "Isn't that mean?" And I'm like, "Mean? She's been passively judging me for 2 years. But like, isn't that kind of illegal? I mean, you drugged her tea and put chemicals on her scalp. That sounds like assault." "Oh my God, Lauren, don't be so dramatic. It's not assault. It was a prank. And anyway, she won't do anything about it. She's too weak. She just hides in her room and cries. What did Michael say? He was mad at first, but he'll get over it. He always does. He's too attached to Mommy to actually leave me or anything. But honestly, it was worth it just to see her brought down a peg. She walks around here like she's so perfect with her David this and David that, and her precious hair and her stupid garden. Like, lady, your husband is dead. Get over it. Now she looks as pathetic as she acts. Bald spots everywhere, hiding under scarves like some old religious lady. It's actually kind of sad. I stood frozen on the stairs, listening to them laugh at my pain. My humiliation turned into entertainment for a Saturday afternoon gathering. But something shifted in that moment. As I listened to Jessica mock my grief, mock my love for David, mock the pain she deliberately caused, something inside me hardened. I wasn't just hurt anymore, I was angry. I went back upstairs without getting the water, but this time I didn't cry. Instead, I opened my laptop and started researching legal definitions of assault, chemical burns, tenant rights, property law. If Jessica thought I was too weak to fight back, she was about to learn otherwise. That night, unable to sleep, I did something I hadn't done in months. I opened David's old desk drawer. He'd been meticulous about documents, keeping everything organized in labeled folders. I missed that about him, his quiet orderliness. While I was emotional and spontaneous, he was methodical and careful. We'd balanced each other perfectly. I was looking for nothing in particular, just seeking comfort in touching things he'd touched. But then I found a folder labeled, "For Margaret, Important." Inside was a letter in his handwriting, dated just a week before his heart attack. My hands trembled as I unfolded it. The paper still smelled faintly of his cologne. My dearest Margaret, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I'm sorry I couldn't say these things to your face. I've made arrangements that I need you to know about. The house is in your name alone. No one can take it from you without your explicit consent. The deed is filed with the county, and I've made sure it's ironclad. Michael knows this, but I wanted you to have it in writing. I've also set up a trust fund that will provide you with monthly income for the rest of your life. The details are with our lawyer, Robert Patterson. You are not dependent on anyone, my love. You are not a burden. You are not powerless. Please remember that. Please remember your worth. You are the strongest person I know, even when you don't feel strong. Don't let anyone make you feel small. Love always, David. Below the letter was a legal document confirming everything he'd written. The house was mine, entirely. A trust fund existed, managed by Robert Patterson, our family lawyer. I've been living like a guest in my own home, accepting humiliation because I thought I had no choice, that I was dependent on Michael and, by extension, Jessica. But I wasn't. David had made sure of that. Even knowing he might die suddenly, he'd protected me. Thank you, I said to the empty room, to his memory, to the ghost of the man who'd loved me enough to shield me even from beyond the grave. I read the letter 3 more times, memorizing every word. Then I carefully folded it back into the folder and placed it in my nightstand drawer. Tomorrow, I would call Robert Patterson. Tomorrow, I would start fighting back. The next morning, I called Robert Patterson's office. His secretary, a kind woman named Helen, put me through immediately. Margaret, how wonderful to hear from you. How have you been? We've missed seeing you at the firm. I've been managing. Robert, I found David's letter about the house and the trust. Ah, yes, he was very specific about those arrangements, very protective of you. Have you been receiving the monthly deposits? Monthly deposits? From the trust. They should be going into your savings account every month. Have you not been checking? I hadn't. I'd barely looked at my bank account in 3 years, assuming there was nothing much there. After David died, I'd just lived off the remaining balance from our joint checking account, being as frugal as possible. Margaret, you should have approximately 3 years' worth of deposits accumulated by now. It's not a fortune, but it's a comfortable sum. Enough to renovate, travel, live independently, hire help if you need it, whatever you choose. How much? Let me pull up the account. As of last month, approximately $180,000. The room tilted. I sat down heavily on the edge of my bed. Margaret, are you all right? I had no idea. I never checked. David wanted you to be secure. He set it up so you'd receive $3,000 a month for life. He was very insistent about it, made me promise to manage it carefully. $3,000 a month for 3 years, just sitting there while I'd been living like I had nothing. Robert, I need your help with something else. Of course, anything. I told him everything. The hair incident, the chemical burns, the drugged tea, Jessica's attempts to push me out of my own house. He listened without interrupting, and I heard him typing notes. That's assault, Margaret. What she did is legally assault, and possibly battery. You could press charges. I don't want to press charges, not yet anyway, but I need documentation, and I need to understand my legal rights regarding the house. The house is yours, completely. It's not marital property because you owned it before Michael married. Jessica has no claim to it whatsoever. You could ask them to leave any time you want. They're essentially tenants, and as the homeowner, you have the right to terminate their tenancy with proper notice. I don't want to kick Michael out, but I need leverage. I need Jessica to understand that she can't treat me this way. Then document everything. Get medical records for the chemical burns. Keep a journal of incidents. Save any texts or emails. If it escalates, you'll have what you need. Thank you, Robert. David would want you to stand up for yourself, Margaret. He'd be proud that you're finally doing it. Over the next week, I made quiet preparations. First, I visited a dermatologist. Dr. Sarah Chen examined my scalp carefully, asked detailed questions about what happened, and took extensive photographs. These are definitely chemical burns, she said, her voice professional but kind. Second degree in some areas. You're lucky it wasn't worse. Hair removal cream can cause permanent scarring if left on too long. Will my hair grow back? Most of it should, but it'll take time, 6 months to a year for full regrowth. Some areas might have thinner growth permanently. I'm prescribing a treatment to help stimulate the follicles. Can you document everything for legal purposes? Absolutely. I'll write a detailed medical report and include photographs. Margaret, what happened to you was assault. You know that, right? I'm starting to understand that. She handed me the report in a sealed envelope. Keep this safe, and if you need me to testify or provide additional documentation, just call. Second, I went to a good salon. I'd never worn a wig before, but the stylist, a young woman named Sophie, was patient and understanding. We'll find you something that looks natural and feels comfortable, she said, showing me options. Think of it as a fun way to try new styles while your real hair grows back. We settled on a wig that looked remarkably like my real hair, long, dark with silver streaks, styled in soft waves. When I looked in the mirror, I saw myself again. Not the broken, bald woman Jessica had created, but Margaret, still there, still visible. It's perfect, I said, tears welling up. You look beautiful. Third, I started documenting everything. I bought a small notebook and began writing down every incident, every cruel comment, every time Jessica tried to undermine me in my own home. Dates, times, witnesses when applicable. I took photos of the living room where she'd removed David's chair and our family photos. I screenshotted text messages where she'd made disparaging comments about me to Michael. I was building a case, even though I hoped I'd never have to use it. And fourth, I made a decision. I called a family meeting for Saturday evening. My heart pounded as I sent the text to Michael. Please be home Saturday at 6 p.m. We need to talk about the house. It's important. Is everything okay, Mom? Everything will be fine. Just please be there, both of you. Saturday arrived too quickly, and not quickly enough. I spent the day preparing, reviewing my notes, making sure I had all the documents organized. I wore the wig, which gave me confidence. I put on my favorite dress, a simple navy blue one that David always said brought out my eyes. I wanted to feel like myself, strong and composed, not like the broken woman hiding in her room. At 6 o'clock, I came downstairs. Michael and Jessica were already in the living room, looking confused and slightly annoyed. What's this about, Margaret? We had plans tonight. Cancel them. This is important. We sat in the living room Jessica had redecorated without permission. I brought a folder with me containing all the documents I'd gathered. "I want to discuss the house," I began, my voice steadier than I felt. "Finally! See, Michael? I told you she'd come around. So, Margaret, I've been talking to contractors, and I think if we renovate and modernize everything, we could increase the value by at least 30%. We could open up these walls, put in a chef's kitchen." "I'm not renovating." "What?" "And I'm not selling. And I'm certainly not signing this house over to anyone." "But we've been planning." "You've been planning, without consulting me, about my house." I laid out the first document on the coffee table. "This house belongs to me. My late husband made sure it was in my name alone, with legal protections. No one can take it, sell it, or claim it without my written, notarized consent." "Mom, I never wanted to take the house from you. I never even asked." "I know, sweetheart. This isn't about you." Jessica's face had gone pale, but there was anger in her eyes, too. "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying that your plans to push me out, to humiliate me until I left, to renovate and take over, they won't work. This is my home. It will remain my home until I choose otherwise." "This is ridiculous. Michael, are you going to let her—" "Let her what? Keep her own house?" "Mom's right. This is her home. We've been living here as guests, and somewhere along the way, you forgot that." For the first time, I heard real anger in Michael's voice directed at his wife. "There's more," I continued, pulling out the next document. "What you did to my hair, Jessica, putting chemicals in my conditioner, causing burns and hair loss, drugging my tea so I wouldn't wake up. I have medical documentation of everything. Photographs, a doctor's report, a detailed account. You're bluffing." I pulled out Dr. Chen's report and placed it on the table. The photographs were visible through the clear plastic sleeve. My scalp, with angry red burns and scattered bald patches. "I'm not." "Wait, you drugged her tea? Jessica, you didn't tell me that part." "It was just a sleeping pill. I didn't hurt her." "You gave her drugs without her knowledge and then put chemicals on her scalp while she was unconscious? Do you understand how insane that sounds?" "I can't believe this. It was a prank. Hair grows back." "It was assault," I said quietly, my voice cutting through their argument. "Causing bodily harm with chemicals, administering drugs without consent. That's what the medical report calls it. That's what the law calls it." You wouldn't actually file charges? Report this to the police?" I paused, letting the words hang in the air. "No, I won't. Because despite everything, you're still my son's wife, and I don't want to destroy his life or yours. But," I continued, my voice harder now, "you will stop. The cruelty, the mockery, the attempts to push me out, the unauthorized changes to my house, they stop today. And if I don't, then I use these documents. I file a police report for assault and battery. I pursue civil damages, and I exercise my legal right as homeowner to terminate your tenancy with 30 days' notice." "You'd kick us out?" "No, I'd kick you out. Michael is welcome to stay in his childhood home for as long as he wants. But you would need to leave." "Mom, I don't want to do that, Michael. Truly, I don't. But I also won't continue living like a prisoner in my own home, afraid to come downstairs, hiding from cruelty, watching my late husband's things be thrown away like garbage." Jessica stood abruptly, her face flushed with anger and something else, fear. "I'm not staying here to be threatened in my own home." "It's not your home, Jessica. That's the whole point." "We're married. What's yours is mine, and what's yours should include this house." "The house was never mine to give. It was always Mom's. And you know what? I'm glad. Because if it had been mine, you would have convinced me to sell it or renovate it or do something that erased every trace of my father. That's not fair." "Isn't it? You donated Dad's favorite chair without asking. You put all our family photos in the basement. You've been systematically trying to erase him from this house because you're jealous of a dead man." I'm not." You told your friends he was dead and Mom should get over it. I heard you. I've heard a lot of things I wish I hadn't. Jessica's eyes darted to me, then back to Michael. You were eavesdropping on me? You weren't exactly quiet. And neither was I when I started paying attention to how you actually treat my mother. Fine. You want me to apologize? I'll apologize. She turned to me, her face twisted with anger and humiliation. I'm sorry I put the cream in your conditioner. I'm sorry about your hair. Happy now? No, I said quietly, because you're not actually sorry. You're just sorry you got caught. But I'll accept your apology anyway, because that's where we have to start. So what happens now? I pulled out the last document, a typed list I'd prepared. These are my terms. If you want to continue living here, you agree to them. If you can't, then you and Michael need to find somewhere else. Mom, what are the terms? I read from the list. 1. No more unauthorized changes to the house. Any decorating, furniture removal, or modifications must be discussed and agreed upon by all three of us. 2. David's belongings and our family photos stay where I want them. They don't get donated, sold, or hidden. 3. We treat each other with basic respect. No mocking, no cruel comments, no passive-aggressive behavior. 4. We establish boundaries. You have your space, I have mine. We're not best friends, but we can be civil adults sharing a home. And 5. If there are future conflicts, we discuss them like adults instead of resorting to cruelty or manipulation. I set down the paper and looked at both of them. These aren't unreasonable requests. They're basic human decency. And if I mess up again? Then I use those medical documents and you leave. No second chances after this one. Jessica grabbed her purse and walked toward the door. For a moment, I thought she was leaving for good. But she stopped, with her hand on the doorknob, her back to us. I need to think, she said, her voice small. I need to figure out if I can actually do this. Then go think. But Jessica? He waited until she turned to look at him. If you can't treat my mother with basic respect in her own home, then we have bigger problems than where we live. I know. She left, the door closing quietly behind her. Michael and I sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have protected you better. I should have seen what she was doing. I reached over and took his hand. You love her. That made you want to see the best in her. That's not a flaw, sweetheart. I don't know what to do now. I don't know if she'll come back, or if she does, whether things can actually change. You figure out what kind of marriage you want, and what kind of person you want to be married to. Someone who's capable of growth and change, or someone who thinks cruelty is funny. What if she doesn't come back? Then you grieve and move forward. But Michael, you can't sacrifice your integrity or your family for someone who doesn't respect either. I feel like I failed you. No, honey. You were caught in an impossible situation, but now you know, and now you can choose who you want to be. Jessica came back 3 hours later. Her eyes were red, whether from crying or anger, I still couldn't tell. But there was something different in her expression, something that might have been shame. Can we talk? She asked, looking at me. Of course. Michael started to stay, but I shook my head. This conversation needs to be just us, woman to woman. He nodded and went upstairs, though I could see the worry in his eyes. Jessica and I sat in the kitchen, just the two of us. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the ticking of the clock on the wall, David's grandfather's clock that I wound every Sunday. I didn't think you'd fight back, she finally said. I thought you were just passive. Weak, someone I could push around until you left on your own. I'm not weak. I'm patient. There's a difference. I was awful to you. Yes, you were. I don't know why I did it. Maybe because you seemed so content, so comfortable in your life, and I felt stuck, trapped. Like I was living in someone else's house, following someone else's routines, always being compared to this perfect dead man I could never measure up to. So you tried to tear me down instead of building yourself up. I guess I did. That doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't. My mother always told me that when you marry someone, you take over their life. You make it yours. She did that with my dad, rearranged his whole world to suit her. I thought that's what you were supposed to do. That's not marriage, Jessica. That's conquest. Real partnership means blending lives, not erasing one to make room for the other. I don't know if I can be the person you need me to be. I don't know if I know how. Then learn. It's not complicated. Treat people with kindness. Respect that you're a guest in someone else's home. Think before you act. And when you hurt someone, apologize like you mean it, and then change your behavior. Are you going to make us leave? I considered the question carefully. Part of me wanted to say yes, wanted to reclaim my space completely, wanted to live without walking on eggshells. But another part remembered Michael's face, the worry in his eyes, the way he'd defended me. Not Michael. This is his childhood home, and he's welcome here, always. You, I paused, choosing my words carefully. You have a choice. Either you stay and we build a respectful relationship with boundaries and mutual dignity, or you leave and you convince Michael to find somewhere else with you. And if I choose to stay? Then things change, really change. You follow the terms I outlined. You don't redecorate without asking. You don't mock or belittle. You respect that this is my home first, and you're living here by my grace, not by right. And if I mess up again, because I probably will, I'm not perfect. Small mistakes, we discuss. Big cruelties like what you did to my hair, I use those medical documents and you're gone within 30 days. That's fair. More fair than I deserve. We sat in silence for another moment. Then Jessica spoke again, her voice barely audible. I am sorry, Margaret. Really sorry. Not just because I got caught, but because I hurt you. I see that now. I saw it in those photos in the medical report, and I felt sick. Then show me you're sorry through your actions, not just your words. I'll try. I promise I'll try. It's been 6 months since that conversation. Jessica is still here. We're not close. I don't know if we ever will be, but we're civil. She asks before changing things now. She doesn't mock my hair, which has grown back patchily but is improving with treatment. Last week, she actually helped me oil it. We didn't talk much, but her hands were gentle, almost apologetic. When we were done, she said quietly, "It's coming back beautifully. I really am sorry I ruined it." "Thank you," I said, and I meant it. Michael seems lighter somehow, no longer caught between two women in constant conflict. He laughs more, comes home earlier, actually enjoys being home. Last Sunday, he and I made David's favorite recipe together, beef stew with those thick egg noodles he loved. Jessica even joined us, tentatively helping chop vegetables. It wasn't perfect. There were awkward silences and careful navigation of old wounds, but it was progress. As for me, I wear my wig some days and my natural hair other days, scarf-free. The bald patches are smaller now, covered by new growth. I'm no longer ashamed of them. They're proof that I survived something meant to destroy me. I've gone back to volunteering at the library. Mrs. Henderson, the head librarian, hugged me when I returned and said, "We've missed you, Margaret. This place isn't the same without you." I've planted new flowers in the garden, roses and lavender that David always loved. I've started using some of that trust fund money, not extravagantly, but intentionally. A new armchair to replace the one Jessica donated, a weekend trip to the mountains where David and I honeymooned, small acts of reclaiming my life. The family photos are back on the walls. David's favorite coffee mug sits on the shelf where it always did. His grandfather's clock keeps time in the kitchen. I had the locks on my bedroom door changed, a small thing, but it makes me feel safe knowing that what happened that night can never happen again. Jessica doesn't have a key, only Michael does, and only because he's my son. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that morning I woke up bald and terrified. It was horrible, humiliating, cruel, the worst birthday gift anyone could receive. But it also woke me up. For 3 years after David died, I'd been sleepwalking through life, making myself small, accepting less than I deserved because I thought that's what a good mother-in-law did. I thought being kind meant being a doormat. I thought being accommodating meant accepting cruelty with a smile. Jessica's cruelty, paradoxically reminded me that I was still here, still Margaret, still worthy of respect and dignity and my own space in this world. I don't forgive her, not entirely. Some wounds take longer to heal than others. Trust, once shattered, takes years to rebuild, if it can be rebuilt at all. But I understand her a little better now. She's young, raised by a mother who taught her that marriage is about dominance rather than partnership. She's insecure, constantly comparing herself to others, never feeling good enough despite her expensive clothes and perfect highlights. And more importantly, I understand myself better now. I'm not just a widow, not just a mother, not just someone to be worked around or pushed aside. I'm a woman with a home, a history, resources, and the right to take up space without apology. I'm Margaret Elizabeth Thompson. I'm 57 years old. I've survived the death of the love of my life, built a good home, raised a good son, and weathered cruelty that was meant to break me. My hair is growing back, slowly but surely. Some patches are still thin, and there might be permanent damage in places. But it's mine. It's real. It's a testament to survival. And so, I think, am I. I've learned something important through all of this. Kindness and boundaries are not opposites. You can be a good person, a compassionate person, and still refuse to accept mistreatment. You can love your family and still require them to treat you with respect. Being patient doesn't mean being passive. Being understanding doesn't mean being a victim. And forgiveness, real forgiveness, doesn't mean pretending the hurt never happened. It means acknowledging the wound and choosing how to move forward with wisdom gained. I think David would be proud of me. Not for the confrontation, he always hated conflict, but for finally standing up for myself. For remembering, as he wrote in that letter, that I'm not powerless. I miss him every day. But I'm learning to live fully anyway, not just survive. Last week, something small but significant happened. Jessica came to me with paint samples. "Margaret, I was thinking the guest bathroom could use some freshening up. The paint is peeling in places. Would you be okay if I repainted it? I thought maybe this soft sage green, but only if you like it." I looked at the samples. The sage green was actually quite nice, modern but not jarring, calming but not boring. "I like it, but let's do it together. I'll help you paint." "Really? You'd help?" "It's my house, and you live here too. We should both have a say in how it looks, and both contribute to maintaining it." "That would be nice. Thank you." We painted the bathroom last Saturday. It took most of the day, and we didn't talk much while we worked, but there was something peaceful about it. Two women working side by side, creating something together instead of tearing each other down. When we finished, Jessica stood back and admired our work. "It looks good. We make a decent team." "We do," I agreed. "It's not perfect. There are still moments of tension, still old wounds that ache, but it's better, and better is enough for now." I keep David's letter in my nightstand drawer, reading it whenever I feel myself starting to shrink again, starting to accept less than I deserve. "You are not dependent on anyone, my love. You are not a burden. You are not powerless." Those words are my anchor now, reminding me of who I am when the world tries to tell me I'm less. Michael came to me last month with news. He and Jessica had been looking at apartments just to see what was available in their price range. "We're not leaving right away, Mom, but I think we need our own space eventually. For our marriage to really work, we need to stand on our own." Part of me felt sad. The house would feel empty again without him, but another part felt proud. That's very mature of you, sweetheart, and healthy for your relationship. You'll be okay here alone?" I smiled and showed him the bank statement from the trust fund. His eyes widened. "Mom, I had no idea Dad left you so much." "Neither did I until recently. I'm financially stable, Michael. More than stable. I can hire help if I need it, travel if I want to, maintain the house easily. You don't need to worry about me." "I always worry about you. You're my mom. And you're my son, and I love you. But you need to live your own life. Your father and I had our time building this home, raising you, creating our life together. Now it's your turn to build something with Jessica. Will you visit us when we get our own place?" Try and stop me. I fully intend to be one of those mothers who shows up with casseroles and unsolicited advice. I wouldn't want it any other way. Yesterday was a milestone, 6 months to the day since the confrontation, since I laid down my terms and demanded respect. Jessica approached me in the kitchen while I was making tea. "Margaret, can I talk to you for a minute?" "Of course." She sat down at the kitchen table, fidgeting with her phone. "I know I haven't been perfect these past 6 months. I've still said thoughtless things sometimes, still made mistakes. We all make mistakes, Jessica. But I haven't made any big ones. No cruelty, no mockery, no trying to push you out. And I wanted you to know that it's not just because I'm scared of the consequences. It's because I'm genuinely trying to be better." I looked at her carefully. Her eyes were sincere, no trace of manipulation or performance. "I've noticed, and I appreciate it. My therapist, I started seeing a therapist after everything happened, she says I have issues with control and insecurity, that I try to tear down other people because I don't feel good enough myself. That takes courage to recognize, and even more courage to work on. I want to be someone Michael can be proud of, someone who deserves the life I have. And I want to be someone who can live peacefully with you, even after we move out. I want family dinners to not be tense. I want holidays to not be battles. I want that too, Jessica. I know I can never take back what I did to your hair. That night, that cruelty, it'll always be between us. But I hope someday you can forgive me, really forgive me." I took a sip of my tea, considering her words. "Forgiveness isn't a moment, Jessica. It's a process. Some days I look at you and I still feel angry about what happened. Other days, like when we painted the bathroom together, I feel hopeful that we can build something better. But I'll tell you this, I'm willing to try. I'm willing to see who you become, not just who you were on your worst day." "Thank you. That's more than I deserve." "Maybe, but it's what I'm choosing to give anyway." This morning I woke up and the first thing I did was run my fingers through my hair. It's grown back significantly, still not as thick as it was, still with some thin patches that might never fully recover, but it's mine and it's real. I looked at myself in the mirror, really looked. The 57-year-old woman looking back at me had changed over these past 6 months. Not just physically, though the hair was different, but something in my eyes was different too. I looked stronger, more present, like I'd been sleeping for 3 years and finally woke up. David's photograph still sits on my nightstand. "I'm okay," I told him, like I do every morning. "Some days are hard, but I'm okay." And for the first time in a long time, I really meant it. The garden is blooming beautifully this spring. The roses David loved, the lavender that attracts butterflies, the vegetables I planted in neat rows. This morning I saw Jessica looking at the garden from the kitchen window. "It's really beautiful. You have a gift for this. Would you like to learn? I could teach you some basics." "Really? You'd teach me?" "Gardening is something you pass down. My mother taught me. I taught Michael when he was little. If you're interested, I'd be happy to teach you too." "I'd like that. I'd really like that." So tomorrow, we're going to plant some herbs together. Basil and rosemary and thyme. Small things, easy to care for, but a start. It's not the relationship I imagined having with my daughter-in-law. It's not the warm, easy friendship I'd hoped for. But it's real, and it's honest, and it's built on boundaries and mutual respect. And maybe that's better than the alternative, a false closeness that hid resentment and cruelty underneath. I think about that morning often, the morning I woke up bald, the worst day of the past 3 years, maybe of my entire life since David died. But it was also the day I stopped accepting less than I deserved, the day I remembered I had power, resources, rights, the day I decided that being kind didn't mean being weak. My hair is a physical reminder of that day, growing back slowly, changed, but still mine. And in a strange way, I'm grateful for the reminder. Not grateful for the cruelty, but grateful for the awakening it forced. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us are also the things that save us from ourselves. Last week, I had coffee with my neighbor Patricia. She'd noticed I was out of the house more, seeming happier. "You seem different, Margaret, lighter somehow." "I went through something hard," I told her, "something that almost broke me, but it didn't. And on the other side of it, I found myself again." "I'm glad you did. You deserve happiness." "We all do. Sometimes we just have to fight for it." Tonight, the 3 of us had dinner together. Just chicken and vegetables and rice, nothing fancy. But we sat at the table, talked about our days, even laughed a few times. "Mom, remember when I was 8 and I tried to cook you breakfast in bed and set off the smoke alarm? You nearly burned down the kitchen making toast." He still can't make toast without burning it. "Hey, I've gotten better." We laughed together, and for a moment, it felt like a real family. Not perfect, not without history and hurt, but real. After dinner, Jessica helped me with the dishes without being asked. We worked in comfortable silence, and when we were done, she said, "Thank you for dinner, and for everything, for giving me a second chance." We all deserve second chances, as long as we actually try to change. I am trying. Every day I'm trying. I know, and I see it. So here I am, 6 months after the worst morning of my recent life, and I'm okay. More than okay. I'm healing, growing, remembering who I am. My name is Margaret Elizabeth Thompson. I'm 57 years old. I'm a widow, a mother, a homeowner, and a survivor. I have hair that's growing back, a heart that's learning to trust again, and a life that's fully mine. I'm not perfect. I still have moments of sadness, days when I miss David so much it physically hurts, days when I look at Jessica and feel that flicker of old anger. But I'm learning that healing isn't linear. It's messy and complicated and full of setbacks, and that's okay. What matters is that I'm no longer hiding. I'm no longer accepting cruelty as the price of peace. I'm no longer making myself small to make others comfortable. I'm taking up space, my rightful space, in my own home, in my own life, in my own story. And that, I think, is what David wanted for me all along. To live fully, love fiercely, and never forget my worth. There's a quote I read once that keeps coming back to me. "You teach people how to treat you." For 3 years, I taught Jessica that she could treat me poorly and I'd accept it, that she could push me around and I'd retreat. That morning when I woke up bald, something shifted. I stopped teaching that lesson and started teaching a new one, that I have boundaries, power, and the will to protect myself. It's not the lesson I wanted to have to teach, but it's the one that needed to be learned. To anyone listening to this story who's going through something similar, who's being pushed aside in their own home, mocked for things that bring them joy, made to feel small by someone who should lift them up, please hear this. You are not powerless. You are not a burden. You deserve respect, dignity, and kindness in your own home. Standing up for yourself isn't mean. Setting boundaries isn't cruel. Demanding to be treated well isn't selfish. It's necessary. It's survival. It's the difference between merely existing and actually living. Yes, it's scary. Yes, there might be conflict. Yes, relationships might change or even end. But living in quiet misery, accepting abuse with a smile, making yourself invisible to keep the peace, that's not peace. That's slow death. You deserve better. We all deserve better. My hair is about 8 inches long now, dark with silver streaks, thick in some places and thin in others. It's not what it was before, and it never will be exactly the same. But it's mine, and it's beautiful in its own way, a testament to survival, to growth, to the body's remarkable ability to heal after being hurt. Just like me. I still miss David every single day. I still talk to his photograph, still wear his old cardigan when I'm feeling lonely, still make his favorite foods just to feel connected to him. But I'm not frozen in grief anymore. I'm living my life, the life he wanted me to have, the life he protected even after death by making sure I had resources and security. Thank you, I tell his photograph every night. Thank you for loving me enough to take care of me, even when you knew you wouldn't be here. And sometimes, in the quiet of my room, I swear I can feel him smiling, proud that I finally stood up for myself. Tomorrow, Jessica and I are going to the garden store to buy those herb seeds. Michael is coming with us. He wants to build planter boxes for the herbs, a little project to do together. It's a small thing, just herbs and wood and an afternoon together. But small things build into bigger things. Small acts of cooperation build into trust. Small moments of peace build into healing. We're not a picture-perfect family. We never will be. We have scars and history and hurts that will always be there in the background. But we're trying, and trying is enough. I've started keeping a journal, something I haven't done since I was a young woman. In it, I write about my days, my feelings, my progress, and setbacks. Last night's entry said, "Today I laughed at dinner. Really laughed. Not the polite fake laugh I've been doing for 3 years. Jessica made a joke about Michael's terrible cooking, and we all laughed together. It felt good. It felt real. It felt like maybe, possibly, we're going to be okay. My hair is growing, my heart is healing. My home feels like mine again. Not the home it was when David was alive. That's gone forever. But a new home, one I'm creating day by day. I'm going to be okay. I already am okay. I'm more than okay. I'm becoming myself again." So that's my story. The story of how I lost my hair and found myself. How I experienced cruelty and discovered strength. How I learned that patience and power can coexist. It's not a perfect story with a neat, happy ending. Life rarely is. But it's real, and it's mine, and I'm proud of how I handled it. I'm proud that I didn't retaliate with equal cruelty. I'm proud that I used legal means and boundaries instead of revenge. I'm proud that I'm giving Jessica a chance to grow while still protecting myself. Most of all, I'm proud that I remembered my worth and refused to forget it again. My name is Margaret Elizabeth Thompson. I'm 57 years old. My hair is growing back, my heart is healing, and my life is my own. And that, truly, is enough. If this emotional story touched you, if you've experienced similar family drama in your own life, or if you just want to hear more real-life stories told with honesty and heart, please leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Your own experiences matter. And sometimes knowing we're not alone in our struggles is the most powerful healing of all. And if you'd like to hear more true stories about family, the trail, resilience, and finding strength in unexpected places, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. These stories matter because they remind us that we're all human, all struggling, all capable of both mistakes and growth. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Thank you for witnessing my journey from that terrible morning to this place of healing and hope. Remember, you are not powerless. You are not a burden. You deserve respect and dignity in your own home and in your own life. Never forget your worth. I almost did, and it nearly destroyed me. But I remembered, and if I can remember, so can you. Take care of yourselves, set your boundaries, demand your respect, and never, ever let anyone make you feel small in your own home. Until next time, this is Margaret, reminding you that healing is possible, strength is real, and you deserve so much better than cruelty disguised as pranks. Be kind to yourselves. You're worth it.